Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is about saving a bad day. So this has come up recently in the gym, and I thought it might be a good kind of topic to share with everybody. And I'll give you a couple examples of what came up recently, and then kind of how we address them and how I think it might help your life as well. So I was training one young girl, and she comes in kind of like the early morning, and she's a teenager. And recently they had kind of some health problems with their extended family. So she has been burdened with a little bit of extra work while her parents are addressing that issue. And part of that burden involves kind of having to take care of her siblings and kind of just added burdens, tasks, demands, errands into her life. So she came into our training, and we've been training together for 6 months to a year, somewhere in that range. And this was the first workout where I could tell in her face that she actually didn't want to be there. And this girl is usually super excited about training. She loves training. She wants to go to school for kinesiology and all these smarty pants things with the human body. So she loves asking me a ton of questions, and she's super duper fun to work with. I love working with her. So when she came in, I could see in her face that something was off. Like, I started kind of asking a couple questions, and she told me what was going on, and she just kind of felt stressed. And although she loved working out, there was stuff that she had to do immediately after workout that was all kind of time pressured. And it was going to, you could tell in her face, it was going to affect her mindset during the training. So the whole time we would be training, her body would have been there, but her mind would have been thinking of what was going to need to be done in that next hour. And I think we can all relate to this, to where we know we need to work out, we know we're supposed to get in like our quote-unquote healthy thing for the day, but there's just so much overwhelming stuff going on that it's hard to kind of shut that out and focus in on where we're at in the present moment of working out. So what we did for her was we actually just cut the workout short. So we typically would work out for an hour, and we decided, I told her, let's only work out for about 30 minutes, and then you can leave a little early, and that way it'll give you extra time. And our trade-off for that, and she was aware of this and she was okay with it, but our trade-off was, if you're going to get an extra 30 minutes, so if we're going to cut the workout down to 30 minutes, then let's, as best as we can, let's recognize that that eases the burden. We're going to give you extra time. That'll ease the burden of what's next. So now you can focus on where you're at right now. So we're going to give you extra time at the end, so refocus on what you're doing right now. That was our goal. And she did awesome. She actually killed the workout. We ended up doing it for about 35 minutes. Then she stayed an extra 10 minutes, just kind of talking about life craziness and nutrition, and just how times like that will come up in life, and how she has to learn to work with herself. So it would be very tempting, and I think all of our adult listeners are going to know for this, it's very tempting just to reason away that workout. Oh, I got this to do, I got that to do, and you'll find the smallest of little things on your to-do list, and you'll put that in place of the workout, as if that was actually more important than the benefits of the workout. So that's something we all do that I think is, definitely a bummer, and something we have to think differently of. Now, part of that would be recognizing that I might have an hour workout plan, but it doesn't mean I have to do that today. So something is better than nothing. So one of the things I talked to her about, that I've talked in past podcasts, was letting go of perfection. So there was a really good book I read called How to Be an Imperfectionist. And it's a fantastic, amazing book. So if you haven't read it, please go look it up. I don't remember the author, unfortunately. But it was How to Be an Imperfectionist. And the idea of that was, like, kind of the take-home message was, something is better than nothing. So if you say, oh, I'm supposed to do a 60-minute workout, but I don't have 60 minutes, I'm just not going to work out today. No, don't do that. Like, if you had 30 minutes, or you had 40 minutes, or even 10 minutes, do something. So just because it can't be all of the thing doesn't mean you can't do some of the thing. So something is always better than nothing. So that was what I was telling her, was when she felt stressed, and it's particularly in this moment in her life, is if, like, the next day, for example, she got overwhelmed again with things to do, don't worry about a full workout. Just go in, do the stuff, and we talked about what was kind of the most important stuff in the training, and what was kind of the stuff that if we didn't get it, doesn't set us back that far. So we kind of discussed that, and we said, just get in what's the most important stuff, and then let go of the rest. So maybe during this time frame in your life, we only get to kind of hold still or move forward towards our goals at like a snail's pace, that's a lot better than just skipping the gym and actually moving backwards. So too often people associate missing their workouts with, oh, I'll get my goal later, as if missing your workout actually means you're standing still. No! So missing your workout or eating bad foods takes you backwards. It does not let you stand still. So don't fall into that self-lie that, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow or I'll do it later, thinking that you get to stand still in the meantime. No, 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 no. So that means you're actually falling backwards. So something is better than nothing to at least make sure that you stay kind of stagnant, at least here, towards your goals, rather than letting yourself slip backwards. Then the next client, actually the same day, he's kind of going for a bodybuilding show while also wanting to become stronger to do a powerlifting meet later in the year. So he's dieting for a show right now, but we still want to maintain our strength. We still want to kind of keep the technical aspects of powerlifting into his training, even though his energy amount that we have to work with every workout is getting less and less due to the diet. He still wants to keep that as part of his goal. So he came in and it was a particularly low energy day. So just kind of a day where he didn't feel like doing much. And it wasn't that he had a lack of desire. He wanted to be here. He wanted to train. He could just tell his body was, it was moving like molasses. So we kind of modified his workout to where typically we would do heavy lifts, medium lifts, and light lifts. That's kind of like a circuit. So today we decided to just do the heavy lift and the light lifts. We kind of skipped the medium lift and just kind of let him take the energy that he had and kind of like peak it up for the big lift, but then not wear him too much out with those other small lifts. So the small lifts were there to burn calories, work on a couple little cues here and there, but he wasn't going to get much from them today. Was it better to do some of them rather than nothing? Yes. So we didn't want to just do the big lift and be done. That is not enough. So we decided to just kind of skip the middle lifts. And then also we cut his workout about 15 minutes short, and we worked on posing. So that was something that was still productive, but it was a little bit less energy investment than the workout. So we got to work over our positions for his different poses. He's going to do men's physique and men's bodybuilding, so we had to do the different poses for each of those categories. And we were talking over like body positions for him. So like he has a little bit of an aesthetic difference per his shoulder from one side to the other. So we were talking about how he could change his kind of scapular retraction, like where he pulled his shoulder blade to on the one side to kind of even out his chest, looking at the front poses. But that's what we did for his workout. So he had a low level of energy, so we got rid of kind of the middle work. We still did the heavy stuff, which was really important. We still kept the light stuff, which helped us burn enough calories for the day to warrant what we were supposed to normally do. And then we traded off a little bit of time at the end to still work on something productive, but a little less energy investment than what the full workout would have been. So there's an example where we might not have been able to do what we totally wanted to do, but it doesn't mean we couldn't do anything. So even if you just took, say, a whole workout and you substituted that for posing, you're still doing something that day that moves you forward towards your goal. So maybe, if you're struggling with your workouts in the gym, is if you're like, oh man, I'm supposed to squat today and I don't have it in me. There's no way I'm going to hit these numbers. I miss my food, or I miss my sleep, or I'm stressed about this. We'll go in and do something. So maybe you can switch it to a bench day. Everybody seems to muster up the energy for bench press. Or you can go in and maybe do just some technical efforts on the squat and then do your accessory work, but leave the heaviness till the following workout of the next week. So you're just trying to find some kind of substitution for the work. So rather than saying I can't do all of what I had planned, so I'll just do nothing, we don't want to say that. We want to say, okay, how much of it can I do, or in what ways do I need to tweak it? Then we have another example, one more I'll give you, is a lady in her, I think she's in her 40s. She's in her late 40s or 50 years old, somewhere around there. And she was actually still sore from her last workout she had done on her own. And I actually train her for strength in between workouts she does for CrossFit. So she does workouts with CrossFit because she likes the camaraderie of the community and she likes kind of the activity and everything they do, but she wants more technical education on squatting, deadlifting, and bench pressing because she does want to do powerlifting meets too. And the coach she has at CrossFit is a very good coach. I'm sure they're a nice person, but they're not familiar and they haven't competed with powerlifting. So she needed to kind of reach outside of CrossFit to get the powerlifting specific information. So the best way to squat for powerlifting, not necessarily the best way to squat for CrossFit, because they are very different sometimes. So for her, she was sore coming in from her last workout. So we went later on her squats to focus on technique, but we added in bench press. So like I said, everybody has energy for bench press. So since she's getting ready for a meet, we figured, okay, typically when you come in to training, we would want to work on technique and muscular stress. We would want to cause stress to your muscles in a manner that gets them to change in the direction that we want. So whether it's hypertrophy or strength acquisition or endurance or whatever it might be. So we would typically normally in her workouts have a technical component and a muscular component. Well, since she came in with the muscles already beating up, like have been beat up, then we didn't have to worry about that component for the workout, but we still had to do the technical stuff. So that's what we did. So we broke her workout down into what are all the things that we would address today. What are the things that are already addressed, apparently, because you're already kind of beat up and sore, and then what's left. And then we trained what was left. So again, you can do that with your workout, is think of what are all the things I do in my workout. And maybe I don't feel ready or good enough to do this part, but I can still do this part. So maybe you don't want to lift heavy, but you can still do stretches, you can still do accessories. Maybe you just want to do calves and abs and call it a day. So, but the idea is that there's still something that can be done. It may be not the big thing, but you can still get other important beneficial things done. And then the last example is myself. So I own a gym because I love to train, but there are even days where I don't feel like training sometimes. I get overwhelmed with the work of running the gym that keeps the place open. And I have a lot of people that have been amazingly awesome to trust me with their health and fitness lives. So I invest a lot into them, and sometimes I forget to take care of myself. So I'm working on that. But there are days where I'm sitting in a gym and I don't even feel like working out. So one of the rules I have for myself is I don't get to go home, so I don't get to do nothing. That is never an option, because I have trained people in the past where they had all the desire in the world to do everything physical that I'm capable of now, but they didn't have the physical capabilities. So those people, on their, like my worst day, I'm still better off than they are physically, and I don't ever want to take that for granted. So in honor of those people and in honor of what I deserve for myself, I'd make sure I never go home and do nothing. So I have a 10-minute challenge that I do for myself. So I have 10 minutes where I say, okay, you don't feel like doing something, but you can do anything for 10 minutes. So maybe I'll go out and I'll do calf raises for 10 minutes, or an ab exercise, or just bicep curls or lateral raises. And 99% of the time, that 10 minutes turns into a full workout, because once I get moving and the blood starts flowing, your adrenaline starts getting up for the day, and that's kind of your aggressiveness. And then your endorphins start increasing from the exercise, and that's your natural painkillers. So you kind of get this little bit of like high of energy, and you feel good. So all of a sudden you start, you go from like 10 minutes into 20 into 30 into 40 into an hour, and it turns into a full workout. So if you would like a structure of how I use those 10-minute challenges, shoot us an email at brutalironGym@gmail.com, and I'll send you the structure of how I decide what exercises to do and what formats. And in those 10 minutes, it's just constant pace the whole time. I'm just moving, because typically when you don't want to work out, if you give yourself too long of breaks, you'll never kind of fully get invested into the activity, and or you'll keep pissing around on your phone and finding things to keep you distracted and not really getting the best workout out of those 10 minutes. So I have a structure I follow, so if you like that, shoot us an email and I'll send it to you. Now, those are some in the gym examples on how we can save a bad day. So we gave you some ideas of just cutting the workout short. So that's one option. Just instead of doing all of it, do half of it or just a portion of it. We also have, instead of doing the workout that's written, you can do stuff that's kind of sort of related. Like the guy, he could have worked out or posed, so we decided to do a little bit of both. But posing is still something that's beneficial for his goal, but that could have been something that he switched to that still would have been moving forward for the day, but it would have been a little bit of a less kind of investment, and he would have been a little bit easier, less stressed, less energy investment from that part. But he still would have done something productive. Then the other example we have was to break down your workout into what are the things that you would want to accomplish. And if you want to kind of take one or two out, either you're sore already from your last workout, or you don't feel like doing the heavy lifting, just take that portion out and still address the other portions, so you can still move forward towards your goal. Now, that's in the gym. What do we do outside of the gym? So, and this is important because not only do we want you to be healthy and happy and reaching all your goals in the gym, but the hope of the podcast and the hope of my goal as a trainer with the people I work with is to positively influence all areas of their life. So I do want them to get physical health, but not at the expense of other areas of health, like mental, emotional, relational, spiritual, and hopefully the way we address their physical health actually aids to those other areas. So if we can learn how to save a bad day in the gym, and then apply that to saving a bad day outside of the gym, just a bad day in life, it's helpful, very, very, very helpful. So, what do we do if we're overwhelmed with our to-do list for the day? So, like we said, is an example of that young girl. She wanted to work out, but she had a million things she had to do, so it just kind of was like overwhelming her. So what if we look at it outside of the gym, if we're not even related to workouts, you look at your to-do list and you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff, there's no way in the world I'm going to get all this done. And in that feeling of being overwhelmed by stuff to do, you end up doing nothing. And I think we've all been there before. So we know we should move, we kind of are even yelling at ourselves while we're not moving, but it's just kind of that thing of like, you're so overwhelmed you don't even know where to start. So one of the tips I've heard before, I don't remember where I heard it, and I probably heard it a dozen times in my life, but is to start with the smallest things. So too often when we look at our to-do list, we look at the big thing. Oh man, I got this huge thing, but then I also have this, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this. And it's just kind of overwhelming. So instead, what we can do is say, okay, here's this big freaking thing that scares the hell out of me. It's a lot of investment. Let's just push that off for a second. Let me look down the list. And then if you look down the list and there's something you can do in 5 minutes, then just do that. So just get busy with the smallest investment of energy and time. Whatever those little things are, start picking them off. And this is true because every time you get to cross something out on your to-do list, and I actually have physical to-do lists that I actually take the effort of crossing off or clicking off on my phone. It's amazing when you actually give yourself that physical reward of crossing it off, how much that can help relieve stress, by the way. So rather than just saying it's off your mind, but physically removing it is a huge, huge benefit. So if you don't have physical to-do lists, I definitely recommend you do that. It helps you stay more organized, so that way you don't get overwhelmed thinking there's a million things when there's really only 4. And then it helps you get the sense of crossing those things off on the list, and that gives your brain permission to kind of let go of that. So that's what you do. Do the smallest stuff first. And what that does, it gives you a sense of relieving stress because that's now one less thing to worry about. It also builds momentum. So once you get 1 or 2 easy things done, you now have a little more resiliency and excitement build up to where if the next biggest thing doesn't go perfectly well, you'll still fight through the hard spots. Whereas often if you start with the biggest thing, it's going to be hard, like you know that there's difficulties involved, so you don't even want to get into it. Where if you start with those small things, you can build momentum, build up positivity, build up satisfaction of getting some of that stuff crossed off the list. And then I've had several days where I got all the small things I could done, knowing that I left the big thing for tomorrow. But hey, tomorrow's a whole day, another day. I'll just have that to focus on. I'll devote my whole day to that. So you can see how that kind of like can reframe an overwhelmed, stressed mindset to one that feels a little more accomplished, a little more in control. And then what do we do if we're tired? So that's another thing people are into a lot. So sleep deprived, energy deprived, and we're just, oh my gosh, we're just tired. We're too tired to move. We're too tired to do anything. And again, the same thing here is to start something. Start something small. So it sounds counterintuitive to say if you're too tired to move that you should start moving, but it's true. So that would be the best thing to do is to start moving and start moving small. So drinking fluids can help, actually drinking cold liquid, cold water, and I'd suggest non-carbonated. But drinking cold fluids can kind of help wake you up a little bit, and then going for a 10-minute walk. Or you can go for a walk while talking to a friend, you can listen to music, you can listen to a podcast, just something that kind of lifts your spirits, something that kind of gets you mentally active, physically active, and that'll start to wake up the processes of the body. So it sounds funny, but it's true that like just something small. So even just putting on good music that you like while you're having to clean dishes or clean the house, stuff like that. So I've actually done that before. I've actually put on some good music and sang and washed dishes, and it might take me like 30, 40 minutes to get the whole damn sink clean, but it makes it a little more enjoyable. So you can kind of imagine like you're on America's, or what's that, The Voice. so you can sing and try to imagine all 4 chairs turning for you because you're so awesome. But just giving yourself some mental games. You don't have to play my pathetic games, but just doing something that makes you feel a little bit more excited in the moment. So, for example, we don't all like washing dishes. And if I'm just like, oh, I hate washing dishes. I can't believe I have to wash these the whole time. And you do that the whole time, you're not going to really enjoy it. So, if you put on a little bit of music, or if you call a friend and put them on speakerphone and just talk to them while you're doing it, just something that kind of gives you a distraction. Like we said, even a podcast. Hint, hint. So, just something that kind of gets you moving, makes it a little less miserable than what you anticipate. And then just the general feeling of feeling down and depressed. So that's something a lot of people wrestle with. And there's no amazing words of advice for that. I think when anybody's dealing with depression, one of the last things you want to have people tell you is, oh, just be happy. And you're like, no shit. So if I could be happy, I would have flipped that switch a long time ago. And I think the biggest thing to recognize for that would be to think of what you've been doing so far in response to your depression. And usually it's inactivity. So we have ideas of things, like people tell you go out and be social, and you're like, I don't want to be social. People tell you, go out for a walk. I don't want to go for a walk. And they'll tell you suggestions, and every time you always go, no. So recognize that inaction hasn't worked to make anything better so far. So how long have you been putting off everything or anything? You've been putting it off for a while, and nothing has really improved. Nothing's really changed. So we have to maybe recognize that trying something, even if it is just a small, 5-minute walk outside, just something small, and just try something and see if it'll help. So even just a small 5 or 10 minute investment every day gives you something to look forward to. It gives you something to feel a little bit of a release from the depression maybe. Just trying something will at least give you the effort of the hope and the possibility for improvement. If you stay inactive and you do nothing, then you're not going to really believe that there's a change possible. And it's true, because you're not doing anything to produce the change. The change isn't just going to magically come to you. So doing something, even if it's small, even if it's pathetic, even if it's only 5 minutes, that at least gives you hope and it gives you momentum for change. Okay? So, whether in the gym or outside the gym, if you don't feel like doing it, if you're just having a bad day, then lower the standard of what you think needs done. So like we said, if it's a 60-minute workout, just make it 30 or even 10 minutes. Just do something like bring it down and make it easier to start. Real small movements, real small goals, and just start with something small, anything. Just start with anything. And you may still end up having a bad day. You may still end up starting something and quitting it. But at least you would have tried. At least you would have done something that had the possibility of making it better. And that's going to give you hope for the next time you have a bad day, that there's possibility to move forward that day as well. So hopefully some of these lessons helped. And if you give them a try and they do help, yay. And if you are struggling and you're not getting help from this stuff, feel free to reach out to us at our email, brutalironGym@gmail.com, and we'll try to help you out with some ideas that are more specific to your case. So maybe just reaching out and having somebody know that, knowing that somebody cares, that can help a lot. So reach out to us if you need the help, brutalironGym@gmail.com. So if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you like this information, you can sign up to become a patron of the podcast by donating $10 or more per month towards the podcast. And for your donation, we will send you monthly training programs, and they're of your choice. So we have programs for strength, for aesthetics, in terms of building muscle or shaping your muscles a certain way. We have programs for overall health. We even have a program for training bodyweight exercises at home, so you don't even need equipment. So these are monthly programs that you can use for only $10 a month. Okay? And they're renewed every single month. So it's pretty cool. You get monthly training programming for only $10. And we'll also still send you stuff about nutrition and training and mindset stuff. And it's all exclusive just for you, just for patrons. So if you'd like an example of what that monthly programming is, you can shoot us an email at brutalironGym@gmail.com, and we'll send you a sample. And if you'd like to become a patron, you can do so by signing up on the Podbean app. You can send us an email or do a Google search for Become a Patron, Brutal Iron Gym Podcast. And if you like the podcast, make sure you share it with family and friends. So the more people we help, the happier the world's going to be. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. So the podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. Okay? So you can reach us at our email at brutaliron@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.